We're ready.
Let's begin.
Let's go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 8.
When the kids are counting
Here, baby.
sheep. When the kids go to sleep, dreams and memories.
She's a dragon today.
When the kids go to sleep.
See, we didn't sing, and I didn't talk in your pod, in your microphone.
You were too busy being a velociraptor. I couldn't sing. That's
I haven't done that
scary.
enough lately.
It always sends chills up my spine, like
Shivers.
run, everybody, run! Oh, welcome.
I got it. Oh man, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I was saying like I'm gonna send this text right before we start the podcast because I thought, well, I'm not gonna be able to answer, and then now I have to answer. So
What?
Just wait a minute.
Oh,
I'm
stop.
texting my friend back.
I'll take care of this. Welcome
Thanks,
to When the Kids Go to Sleep from Maker Studios in Los Angeles, California. I said it. It was my turn. Anyways,
Welcome to the show.
we are back
Don't
again.
forget to download it on the iTunes. Links below. You can put it on your mobile device. Hey, you guys,
He usually
download
talks
it
like
on
that.
iTunes because sometimes when I'm feeling bad about myself, I go onto iTunes and I go on like the top downloaded podcasts. I'm like, whoa, we're number 5 on Kids and Family for most
And it makes you feel
downloaded
better.
podcasts.
So download the podcast so that Shay can have a happy moment.
I think, well, at least I have that.
At least I have the
At
podcast.
least we have the number 5 most downloaded podcast on Kids and Family section. And especially like when we're ahead of like Nickelodeon and Disney, I'm like, that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
We're beating Nickelodeon, losers. They don't have a podcast.
Because we're professionals.
So I think we're like Kids and Family. Are we Kids and Like we're like kind of
Yeah,
self-help
sometimes
Kids
we get
and
a little
Family.
borderline, but
Yeah. I mean, what else? What other category would we be in? Do you think we're in the right category for those of you who are like
we?
podcast people?
Yeah,
I
tell
think we
us.
are. Maybe we should switch our category.
what category should we be in?
Like
Politics?
hot stud and pretty chick. Do you want to talk about politics?
No, I do not.
All right,
not.
so welcome to the podcast today. Big news today. This is the big news snap. Big news snap.
Big news snap. Big news snap.
We uploaded. If it's not up, it will be up. Today is the Shay lost September announcement video.
Here it is.
Right. We're gonna shoot.
Yes.
Yeah. So check that out. We are finally we're announcing the Shay lost September, kind of what it's gonna be, what we're gonna be doing, and we're gonna kind of. This is just an idea, and we had this idea a couple days ago. I was sitting down with Brett and Maria and Jared, and I'm like, you know, I wanna, because I kind of got like this lackluster thing. Like after, you know, I lost all the weight and ran these 2.5 marathons, it's kind of like, well, now what?
Like a letdown.
What do I do now? Like, what do I do? I kind of felt like, you know, I don't want to like work out anymore. It's like, I need to like set new
another
goals. I
goal.
want to feel that fire again. Like when I was training for the LA Marathon, I had this like, you know, I'm working towards this thing, and now like that's all over. I'm just like, bump on the log. What do I do now? So, and then I've been reading this book called The Slight Edge, where he talks about like if you're not progressing a little bit every day, then you're either going this up or down. And so I'm just like, what can we do? What can we do? And a lot of people have been, you know, talking to us about Shay loss, and I'm like, let's do a whole month of like, you know, I don't know, like daily videos, and we'll have like healthy recipes and like workout routines, and just try to like really help a bunch of you guys, you know, let's just get better together. You know, it's not about me being an expert and me, you know, like this is what you got to do, you know, but I want to show you what I did. And as a group, we're all going to get together and, you know, better our lives. And like I said,
And it's not even necessarily just about losing weight either. It's just about goal setting and reaching those goals and different things that Shay is going to talk about to help you, you know, better yourself and empower yourself to reach goals. So
because, you know, what's life about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is life just to be like a bump on the log? Like, you got to change. People say like, why do you want to change who you are? Like, you're not changing who you are, but you have to grow. And growth, I mean, a little tree like this is a different tree when it's this big. But if a little tree, you know, it's going to die. If you don't grow, then you die. If you're stagnant, then you die. You have to evolve and you have to get better.
I think you meant to say it's the same tree. A little tree is the same tree when it's this
No,
big.
it's different. I mean, look, a little tree like this, it's a different tree because
It's
it's
a different
bigger
size,
tree.
but it's the same tree.
It's the same tree.
That's what you're saying, is you're still the same Shay.
Right.
But you've grown and learned
But
things.
don't be afraid of the key, like, change. Like, I think that's sometimes like, oh, you've changed. Like, well, yeah, everybody changes. You gotta change. If you don't change and you stay the same, and if you stay the same, you die, dog.
But you
Get
don't
it?
stay the same. You digress.
Dude, why are you such a hater?
I am not
Why are you such a
hating.
hater? Why are you hating on me right now?
Yo,
Just trying to preach the good news, sister.
I'm helping too.
I'm helping too.
I'm just helping
You're
preach
so
the
cute.
good
Ah,
news.
don't bite your fucking face out. Ah. I
Ow.
just headbutt her with my headphones. Sorry, Roth.
That's how he expresses his love to me.
All right. So that video is up. Go check it out. And that's a good thing to say what you said is it's about setting goals. It's about filling a fire. You know, it doesn't have to be weight loss. It doesn't have to be fitness related. But like, you know, maybe you want to set a goal, you know, to get better grades in school. Maybe you want to set a goal to go back to school and get a higher degree or get a better job or quit smoking or whatever it is. Like, you know, have you ever had that? Like, have you ever had any hopes and dreams? Like,
Yeah?
that's what we want. We want you to go after your hopes and dreams. And you do that by setting reachable goals. And you, little by little, you work and you get up every day and you make those little decisions that will get you closer and closer to those hopes and dreams. And you set those goals. And then one day you look up and you're like, I did it! I did it! And it feels amazing. It really does. So check that out. Shayla September. It's going to be intense. I'm setting my goals. My goal is to try to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and I'm going to do that by setting a goal to run 200 miles in the month of September. I have a goal to be able to do 100 push-ups at one time.
So that's a lot of goals. Shay has a tendency to set very big goals for himself, and that's something that I've learned from him. Like when I ran the half marathon, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But because I saw Shay reach his giant goal of running a full marathon, it gave me inspiration and motivation to reach my goals. And I feel like that's what we need as society and as human beings is if you don't have something to reach for, if you don't have something that you're looking forward to and you're trying to accomplish, then you're not going to feel happy.
True. I mean,
You know what I mean?
You feel stagnant, honestly.
You do. You just feel like, oh, I'm just working every day at this job I don't like.
You get that, what's the point?
Oh, we got to go to
feeling?
school again.
What's
Come
the
on,
use?
kids, get up, get ready for school. It's like it starts to get so mundane. Like life is mundane.
Yeah.
I mean, if you,
Yeah.
everybody's life is mundane. It just is the same every day, unless you do something about it. Unless you say, you know what, I'm gonna do this. Like Shay does so many times in his life, and I'm always like, really? Okay, that's a really big goal, but you can do it. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm always a little bit like, whoa, that's crazy. But he
Whoa.
always does it. You always reach your goals, babe. I love you.
Stop making
Babe,
out with me
babe,
with your
babe,
eyes.
I love you.
And
that-
I want to just say, like I'm not like some great person. Like a lot of it is because of you guys. Because of what we do. Because we're like kind of like under a microscope a little bit. You know, where it's like, you know, anything that's measured grows. Like if you like, you know, measure like whatever, like I don't know what I was trying to say, but because, you know, we live a life where we're on camera every day, I kind of feel that, I guess, where it's like I want to better myself. Or
Like people are, yeah, like you were saying in the last podcast, like people are watching, so you want to make sure you're doing a good job. But that's the thing is, just because we have people watching our videos doesn't mean that we're the only people that have people watching. You know, like
Yeah.
as a parent, your kids are watching you. So
Right.
if you're not doing things to improve your life and improve yourself, then your kids aren't going to want to be the same way. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
That's true. And if you believe in God, I think God works through other people. I think God blesses us through other people. So yeah, if you're like, nobody's watching me, nobody cares. People do. People notice.
Right.
Maybe your coworkers or people
Like
you work
everybody,
with.
you all have a circle of influence, no matter who you are. You have people that you know, that you talk to, and that's your circle of influence. And so, you know, they're going to look at you and they're going to see what you're doing every day. And
Yeah.
if you're not growing, then you're not going to be.
But here's the thing.
Thinking
There's a
good
fine
things.
line there because misery loves company. You know what I'm saying? Like if you set all these goals and you come out and you're like, I'm going to do this, a lot of times you might get some pushback, and that's to be expected. And you should know that when you start out. Like there might be some negativity come at you with this new desire to achieve new things. And I really like what you said about, you know, life is mundane. It can get like doldrum, like what is the point, like I'm just doing the same thing. And it doesn't get exciting until you stretch yourself, where it's like, I wonder if I could, you know, climb up to that point. Wouldn't it be so cool if I could do that? And that's the thing, is like you can, but it takes time. You got to be patient. You got to work little by little, and then eventually you will achieve that. So there's this fine line with, you know, human nature where, you know, okay, so we want to talk.
Hold on, before we get to that, I have a viewer question that kind of goes along those lines. Paige Sharefield says, how to get back to your goals after getting sidetracked. And that goes along with another comment that I read in one of my videos that, you know, they were saying how you guys always seem, they said you guys, but I'm thinking they were talking more about Shay, but you always seem to reach your goals. I feel like I'm setting goals and I'm never reaching them. And I like Paige's question because it is hard to stay on a goal, especially like such big goals that you set for yourself. Sometimes it's hard to feel like, oh, I can't get there. That is just too much of a goal. So how would you suggest to stay on track when you set a goal for yourself when, you know, it's so easily...
Yeah, it's easy to get off the path. It's easy to fall off the wagon. So we're going to talk in ShayLost September about some specific, you know, tips to setting goals, because you can set goals the wrong way. Like, for instance, me saying I'm going to qualify for the Boston Marathon. You can't just say, well, I'm going to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and when that day comes to qualify, hopefully I achieve it. Like, you have to set little things in between, like I'm going to quit drinking pop for the month of September because, you know, pop has a lot of sugar in it, and it, you know, it cuts down on your cardiovascular. So that's one thing that that's one little goal that I'm going to set that will help me achieve this bigger goal. I'm going to run 200 miles in the month of September. If I put in that time, you know, it'll allow me to achieve that goal. Or I can say, I'm going to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, just little goals that you have to set. And the thing is you have to realize you're going to mess up. The biggest secret to getting back on track after you get sidetracked on your goals is, Brett gave this perfect analogy the other day. He said, if you're driving down the road and you get a flat tire, do you get out of your car and stab the other 3 tires? No. You get out and you fix that tire, and you...
Stupid car!
Yeah, yeah. You get back on the road. You get back on track. So if you mess up, if you're like, you know, you have a binger one night, you drink 100 beers and 40 pizzas, that's okay. Just start again the next day.
It's not really okay. You shouldn't do.
You could go for 100 beers and 40
You'll
pizzas
be out for
right
a
now.
week.
You know what I'm saying? But you're going to mess up. Like, just allow yourself. Like, it's okay that I messed up. But the next morning, drink a ton of water and get your butt on the treadmill. You know what I mean? You got to just get back on the track. Don't let it discourage you. It's so easy to be discouraged and pulled down. But you have to forgive yourself. You have to get right back on track, because the natural tendency of humans is to be like, see, I can't do it. I told you I couldn't do it. I told myself I couldn't do it. I messed up, and now I'm off track. You just have to start the next day. That's the great thing about a sunrise. There's one every day, and you get a chance to start over again. So that's our best advice, Paige, is just get right back on track. Set those goals, and there's little things you can do, like, you know, write things on your mirror, read, you know, good books that will motivate you.
And I think you need to remember to celebrate your little achievements, your little victories. Like when you set your alarm to get up at 6 a.m. and you actually get out of bed and get dressed and you're up, celebrate. Be like,
have 100 beers and 40 pizzas.
No, just like, I finally did it. I got up out of bed. That's good. Like, the more you do things to move towards your goal, the more fire is lit underneath you. So just celebrate those little victories every day. Anyways,
okay,
let's keep going.
We're not going to talk about, you know, goals and ShayLost this whole podcast, because we're going to get to some of your questions about school, going back to school, and a few other things.
Goals associated with
we're going to kind of talk about that, and you know, we're going to kind of keep the same thread. But I really encourage you guys, check out ShayLost. Go check out the video we uploaded. It's going to be a crazy month. Get on board. Don't be a skeptic. Be a believer. Grow. Set some personal goals. Ask yourself what you can do to make some changes to feel that fire again. Trust me, it will feel good if you think. Just be honest and sincere with yourself. What are some things that you can do to make a change in your life that you know? Like, I'm not going to tell you what you need to do. I don't know your life. You do, though. But we're going to do it as a team. I want to hear about those goals, and I want to see video responses. ShayLost. So this is an announcement now. I want to know what your 3 goals are. They could be anything. Like, I want to run a 10K. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to quit smoking. I want to get straight A's. You know, whatever they are. Set maybe like 2 physical ones, or a physical and a spiritual one.
But they can go to ShayLost right now and see.
Go check out ShayLost right now. Yeah. Wrap it up. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's talk about going back to school, because we had a question. Where is it, Michael? Okay, my goal is to be successful in school. This is from Curtis Holcomb, asked us on Twitter. My goal is to be successful in school and get good grades. How do you motivate your children to get good grades? Are they motivated naturally? Okay, so there's a story I want to read from here, but first I want to answer Curtis's question about, well, my biggest tip is I remember going back to school and I didn't get the best grades. I probably was like a B average. I mean, if I got a 3.0, I was pretty proud of myself. Like, look, Mom,
That's not bad.
3.0.
That's good grades.
I was more like interested in like friends and, you know, hanging out
Girls.
and chicks and stuff. So I didn't.
Skiing.
But getting good grades is very important. Here's what I told my kids, and this might seem shallow, but I told my kids, I'm like, listen, the better grades you get now means the more money you'll make later. And that means you'll be able to have a nicer car. You'll be able to have a nicer house with like a swimming pool. Wouldn't you like a swimming pool? I told Princess Starter, like, would you like to have a swimming pool when you grow up in your house? Imagine having a swimming pool in your house. And she's like, yeah, that'd be like, I'm like,
That'd be
listen,
sweet.
that all depends on how good of grades you get now. Because if you get good grades in school, you're gonna have a better job, which means you make more money and you have more swimming pools, and she's gonna have like 6 swimming pools. So like little things like that, which, you know, money isn't always the best motivator or whatever, but I like let them know, I'm like, the better grades you get now, the more fun things you'll be able to do later in your life. And that's true. Like, your grades matter. The more you can learn, the more the world will pay you later on. The smarter you are, the more valuable you'll be. And guess what? We all like to do fun things. And guess what? Fun things take money. So get good grades, get money, do fun things.
I think that's good too. Another way, I feel like, I mean, because sometimes it's hard for children to be like, oh, I'm going to get good grades because I want to have a big house when I get older. You know what I mean? Like,
but I love the swimming pool.
Thinking
she wants
about
a
that.
swimming pool.
Yeah, but they're not always thinking about that. But like the little things that you can do for them every day, like, you know, when they do get a good grade, give them a lot of praise for it. Make sure they know that that's a really good thing, and not just like, oh, if you get a good grade, you can have, you know, a new outfit or new shoes or whatever. Like, don't always reward them with stuff, but just let them know what a great job that they're doing. And
once again, Mommy Tard coming in with the wise answer, and me just like
yours was good too.
But no,
I mean, it motivates them. I mean, and different kids are
Right.
motivated with different
True.
things. That's another factor you have to take in. Some kids are not going to care when you tell them they did a great job. I mean, they want to be motivated with other things, but you have to
vice
learn your
versa.
child. Yeah, you have to learn your child and know what. But one thing for sure, every child wants to be loved. So always give them love.
Always give them love. One tip I would say for going back to school is don't get behind in the first. I remember, like, you know, like if the first of the year, if you slack at the first of the year, it's so hard to catch up. Like,
Right.
you should work the hardest at the first of the year. Like, get those syllabuses and read the syllabuses. Like, those first 2 weeks of school are probably the most important, because a lot of times you just got to know what your teacher wants. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot. That's how I like scammed on good grades. Is like, I just knew what my teacher wanted. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, but it's important to gain the knowledge too. I want to be clear.
Well, no, it was like your teacher wanted, like, she wasn't checking the work.
Right.
He saw that she wasn't checking the work, so he used this little.
Story.
Okay, well, that's another story.
And
But I
my
think
third
we've
grade
told it
teacher,
before.
you would have assignments, and she'd be like, "Okay, go hand in your assignment," and we'd stack these assignments up. And I noticed that the stack was like this tall, and I'm like, in my third grade year old brain, I'm like, she is not checking those. And the reward was, after you were done, you got to go to the candy store. There was like, this is like a small town in Utah, and you got to go to the penny candy store. Like, the first 3 kids done with their homework, got to go buy penny candy. So in my mind, I justify, like, I want to go to the candy store.
Yeah.
And I saw like this stack of our assignments. I'm like, there is no way she's checking those, because a few consecutive days I would see my assignment like halfway down in the stack. I'm like, she didn't check that. So what do? I'm like, A, C, 67, Christopher Columbus, Eli Whitney, I don't know. And I just hand it all in, and then I got to go to the candy store every day, because I would just like hand my thing in, and it's like, anyways.
But I've noticed, because you did that, now you're like, Suntard, you have to learn your multiplication tables.
Right, because I didn't learn. I did not
them.
learn my multiplication tables because of that third grade teacher. In third grade is when you learn your multiplication. I still, to this day, if you ask me like what 7 times 8 is, I can't tell you. Like, I have to be
So let that be a motivator to you.
Don't
kids.
be dumb. That's what I'm
want to
saying.
know
You gotta
things.
get the knowledge so you're not a dumb.
And it's not necessarily about the grade. Like, you don't want to cheat to get the grade.
Right.
You want to know what you're
You're gonna have to
being
know
taught.
that stuff. I mean,
You
there's
need to know
definitely
it.
stuff that there's a lot of times that I wish that I paid a lot more attention in school.
I mean, I know it's hard to make school fun, but you can try to make, things exciting for your kids. Like maybe sit down and read what they're reading in social studies and be like, oh, this is awesome. Here's what I know about this. I don't know.
So that's one other question. No, well, I think we're just talking about like our goals as parents for our kids for this year.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to be active in my kids' education. And so I told Suntard, I said, because, that's the classic, like, what'd you learn in school today? And I remember last year they're always like, I don't know.
And we just kind of like, oh, whatever.
Like, I'm sure they learned something. I'm sure those teachers, jinx, chickle, tickle, candy bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 10. So I told our kids this year, I said, I am going to be asking you. You should be ready. Like when you're in school and the teacher's talking, I want you to be thinking in your brain, Dad's going to ask me what she said. And I told him, I said, when you get home, you better have an answer for me because I want to know what you're learning in school. So we got them these little notebooks. So Suntard is writing down, he has like a journal and he writes down what he learns in school as he's learning it so that when he comes home, he can tell me what he learns. So our goal as a parent is to be like a little bit more active to make sure that they are learning the things that they need to be learning. And I think the teacher likes that too.
Yeah. I think it's hard too as a parent because you're obviously thinking about work and what you have to do, but really getting involved with your parents or with your kids' lives is so important. And I know that some parents feel like, oh, well, I don't have time to volunteer in school. I can't really do all that. But at home, you can get really involved by just knowing what it is your kids are learning and expecting them to know what they're learning. You need to expect things from them or they're not going to perform.
Right.
Like just expect them to do things, not in an authoritative, mean way, but in a loving way. Just know that.
And I also want to say, like, those of you out there who are going to school who maybe don't have the best of parents, who don't give a crap what you learned at school, and they just want you to, like, come home and, like, clean the house and just, like, stay out of their way. Like, we realize that that's, a part of some of your lives, too. That sucks, but you can't let that affect you. You have to make the decision that you are going to be a great person, no matter who tells you what. Even if it's your own mom and it's your own dad, if they discourage you or, like, you'll never amount to anything, don't listen to that. You need to live your life for you. You are in charge. That's what I always get. I always try to tell my kids. It's like, it's nobody's fault but your own. You need to have self-reliance. Like today, I went to the swimming pool with Wtkgts, and he was trying to climb out of the pool. I'm like, nope, you can do it. You can do it by yourself. And I made him climb out of the pool by himself because you got to teach self-reliance. You are in charge of your life. Don't blame your failures on anybody else but the person in the mirror. I'm telling you, the sooner you learn that, the sooner you embrace that it's your fault, that you are the one you're in charge of your life is what I'm trying to say. Like, you have to make that decision. Who are you? What are you going to be in this life? Are you going to make a difference? You have to ask yourself that. And if you're going to like blame it on your parents, or your circumstances, your surroundings, then you're going to be a victim. You're always going to be like, well, I'm not a successful person because I had a bad upbringing. There's plenty of people who broke through that, and you can too. It's just all up to you.
And it's hard because there are so many people that have awful circumstances. But the thing is, if you're in an awful circumstance and you feel like your life is crashing down around you, you can't change what other people are doing. You can't change the people around you. The only thing you can do is change
yourself. Yep.
And it can be really difficult, but you can do it.
Okay, so another tip that I want to give about going back to school is there's a lot of like social anxiety, right? Like peer pressure and, the cool kids and how do you fit in with other people. Here's my best advice, and it goes against human nature. And here it is. Don't care what other people think. Don't worry about it. Just do your own thing, man. Like, once you grow up, and I think a lot of people can attest to this, anybody who's like graduated high school and has kind of like grown up and is now an adult, I think would attest to saying like, why did I care so much what Johnny Football thought of me in my junior year? Like, why does it matter what other people think of you? Why didn't I do those things that I wanted to do? Like maybe you love band and you wanna play an instrument, but you're embarrassed because all your friends will make fun of you that band's like for losers. Don't care about that.
You might miss out on a great opportunity.
You might grow up and be Kenny G.
Seriously, don't you want to be Kenny G?
He has great hair.
Just do it, guys. Be Kenny G.
So in this book, The Slight Edge, this guy has a little chapter called "What I Learned from My Own Funeral," and he has read this article in a magazine, and in this magazine article, it talks about statistically, in all funerals, statistically 10 people, depending on who you are, you know, if you're a great person more, if you're a kind of a scumbag less, but for average people, 10 people will cry at your funeral. So when you die, when you live this great life, you go through all this stuff and you achieve and blah blah blah, and you, like everybody else, die, because everybody dies. 10 people on average will cry at your funeral. And he was talking about in this, like, he couldn't believe, like, after all he'd done, he's lying there in the great conclusion of everything he's ever said and done, that everything he's done in all of my life, the final moments, my entire life is called to account and acknowledged and memorialized by the nearest and dearest to me, those whose lives I've most deeply and profoundly touched. Only 10 people will cry. And he was like, you know, everybody's had that dream, like going to your own funeral. Only 10 people will cry. And then he says, after that, from the procession, from the funeral to the grave, if it's raining, 50% of the people won't go from like the church, wherever you have the funeral, to the grave if it's raining, because it's bad weather. And that like even pissed him off even more. He's like, so only 10 people are going to cry at my funeral, and then half of those people won't even come to see me put in the dirt because it's raining. The skies are crying more than these people who I thought were like my friends and family. So then he was reading about this crazy thing about like, and he was like getting them all worked up about like, how, you know, I live this great life and only 10 people cry at my funeral, and then half of them don't even come to the grave. And then he says, a few days later, I happened to be thinking about the article as I sat in my car stopped in traffic. Just then, I saw that we were all stopped for a funeral procession as it went by. It took less than a minute because it contained only a few cars, 4 or 5 cars. As traffic slowly started moving again, I thought, that person lived his whole entire life worrying about what other people thought. And suddenly it hit me. Who has long funeral processions? At whose funeral do thousands of people cry? For whom do millions mourn? For those who will do what others are not willing to do. For the people whom we erect who do we erect statues for? Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Abraham Lincoln. Gigantic funerals are held and great crowds and sometimes entire nations mourn for those people who spent their lives not worrying about what other people thought. Think about that. So true. You're going to die one day, and you're going to be in that casket, you're going to be in the hearse, and you're going to be cruising down the road, and somebody's going to be pissed at you because you're slowing them down to get to whatever meeting they have to go to. And you're going to be dead, and your life's going to be over. And it's not going to matter what those other people thought about you. It doesn't matter. So when you go back to school, have that mentality. Like, it doesn't matter what Joey football or you know, sissy cheerleader thinks. Like, just be yourself and don't worry about it, because eventually you're all going to grow up and you're all going to die, and it's not going to matter. And if you want to be great in this life, you have to achieve things that sometimes will be looked down upon. Sometimes you're going to get negative feedback for. Anyways, great book. Hopefully we gave you some advice for back to school, setting goals.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to read this comment.
Okay.
By Caitlin Sousa. My goal this year is to start watching ShayLoss in September in hopes that it guides me to a healthier lifestyle.
Great goal. That's the best goal I've ever heard, Kayla.
I know. I saw that. I was like, we got to talk about Kayla.
Kayla. That's Caitlin.
Caitlin. Oh,
Caitlin. Sorry, Caitlin. She's going to set a goal to pronounce
I
Caitlin
know.
Salsa.
That's my new goal.
Thank you guys. Sincerely, we want you to know that we appreciate you guys watching this and being a part of this. You know, we're learning as we go, and we just want you to know that we care for you. We love you, and
we know that we're not like experts or whatever, but we do have a sincere desire to just help and to just be whatever help we can to you guys. So
yeah, check out the ShayLoss video. Join us. Come on, we're gonna be a big family. We're gonna be talking about our feelings and our goals, and we're gonna live great lives, and we're gonna have huge funerals. All of us. We're gonna have so many people cry at our funerals, huh?
Yes.
Tears, tears in heaven.
Be willing to do what others aren't.
Right.
And don't care what people think.
That wraps it up for another When the Kids Go to Sleep podcast right here in Los Angeles, California at Maker Studios.
With Shay.
Download it. Free link below. Because, like, you know, tonight I'll be like, my life sucks. I hate my life. Whoa, I'm number 4 on the most downloaded.
Don't care about what people think about you.
Oh, right. See you guys next week.